Victoria Humphrey here with Rebel News, standing outside of the Taj Park Convention Centre in Surrey, BC, because the oh-so-honourable Prime Minister Trudeau is in town. Now, if you've been following news, at least the news that will show you what's happening. When Trudeau makes an appearance, that usually means protesters show up. And today, we're going to show you what goes down. Well, it appears as though Prime Minister Trudeau has just entered the convention centre. There was a bunch of black cars, and the anger of the protesters certainly heated up. The police are clearing the road again so that cars can go through. And I guess we're just going to hear more about why they gathered here today. And I also want to talk to the police officers because they allowed Trudeau's state media to go closer to the banquet to cover it, and they told Matt Brevner behind the camera that he was not able to because he wasn't accredited to the event. So I want to know what legislation they're following that prevents the largest independent media in Canada from being over there, like the state broadcasters. An officer touched him, so I'm not sure what that's about.
Rebel media is not allowed, but that other media is allowed.
What happened there?
So, CBC is right there, and Omni is right there. Yeah. So I walked over so I could stand on the sidewalk and just get a reverse shot. And they said I'm not accredited. I'm like, well, I'm not trying to go in. I'm just trying to be on a public sidewalk. Yeah. But I said I actually am accredited with the Independent Press Gallery. Yeah. And I showed them my credentials. And they said, oh, you're Rebel News. That's not good enough. And so they walked me back across the street.
What? Hi, officer. Can I have your name and badge number? Don't touch me. You touched my colleague.
No, just go on the
I'd like to know the legislation that prevents us from being here.
Right now, this is kind of our safety pocket.
Okay, can we go over that way?
I just ask that you go over that. If you want to go over to the far end, that's fine.
Can you
I'm not
explain?
providing anything for you. You have to contact our media, okay?
Okay, because we're accredited and we're the largest independent media. This is public. You let, but you let CBC here, and you're not letting independent
media.
media.
On the list, okay?
But this is public property. So what law? Do you have a supervisor? Do you have a supervisor? The last time I covered a protest about this size, which isn't too big, maybe about 50 people max. They actually shut down Trudeau's fancy Liberal Fundraiser. This time is very similar. It's costing attendees $1,000 to show up and hear from Trudeau. Can you believe it? They're paying that much. And like I said last time, you can check out our report at rebelnews.com, and you see he didn't make it in. We'll see what happens this time, whether or not he makes it inside of the building. But one thing I want to ask the protesters here, aside from why it was important for them to be here, is what do they think about the Conservatives actually, as far as this Léger poll goes, polling better than the Trudeau Liberals as far as if people were to sit down and vote today. If you look at this chart here, you'll see that the Poilievre Conservatives are polling at 34%, the Trudeau Liberals 28%, and the Singh NDP polling at 23%. Now, that is all of Canada if they were to vote today, according to this poll. BC's a little different. It's actually the NDP government. No surprise, it's an NDP currently government provincial here, but it's the Jagmeet Singh leading at 36%, and then the Conservatives at 31%, and the Trudeau government at 28%. So we're going to ask these guys, do they think it would make a big difference as far as the freedom fight goes if the Conservatives were to make it in power? So why was it important for you to be here today?
Oh, it's number one, freedom, and to expose Trudeau, the most hated man in the world.
You're not the first one to say that here tonight.
You got that right. You got that right.
Now you've got a sign here. It's got a few things on here. COVID cult. Tell us why it was important to come out tonight.
Well, for me, it's important because I was fired from Fraser Health and still struggling with jobs on and off, and a lot of things have happened in my life since all of the COVID cult happened. And my children don't really see me regular much anymore because I guess I'm on the wrong side of the fence according to them.
A lot of division, for sure.
And my father that passed away a year ago, I wasn't able to fly to Manitoba to see him on his deathbed. I wouldn't have been able to get into the facility. And then I did end up driving all the way there through that storm we had back then, and the rock slides and stuff, but I drove all the way there for the funeral. So I was allowed to go to the funeral that way, but I couldn't fly there. Yeah, lots of drama. It's definitely a cult.
Oh man, I just couldn't wait to come up and show up and tell him that, you know, he's the most hated man in Canada, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're not going to stand for this any longer.
No, well, we've seen things like arrive, can drop, and a little less restrictions. Do you think it's going to keep going that way, or?
No, I think that was just a little token that they try and shut us up. I mean, they're just going to keep pushing. They've already bought all the vaccines. They're going on with the climate agenda. It's just going to be one thing after the other until we just have nothing left.
Well, it's all about numbers. You can be at home, be a keyboard warrior all day long, but no one's going to see the actual numbers until we get out of the echo chamber. Quite simple.
Well, we're doing it for our kids and our grandkids and for the country. And if we don't stand up, who will?
Well, it's a small but feisty crowd, that's for sure. Right now they're waiting for him to come out, so we'll see what happens then. One of them has a noose. I'm sure CBC got their story when they showed him, because they came out for a little bit and then went right back in. Not something I would condone personally. I mean, I think the flags they send the message enough. And so one of the things going into this that I see is right now the Conservatives are polling higher than the Trudeau government. Do you think if the Conservatives get in the power, that's going to be somewhat of a solution as far as the freedom fight goes?
Yes, I do. I think that Pierre has demonstrated that he is interested in the freedoms of the country, and he said he's going to make us the freest in the world, and I actually have faith in him.
How about yourself? Do you think if the Conservatives ended up getting into power, you'd see a big change as far as the freedom fight goes?
Definitely we will. Yes, I'm sure.
It's like aspartame versus sugar. they're both bad for you, but one is going to be the lesser of the evils.
I'm really hopeful for the Conservatives, but all in all, I have a strong distrust for politicians in general. I think they become just puppets, and it's up to the people. It's not the politicians that are going to save us, it's the people that are going to save us.
Well, you're not alone in losing trust in politicians. What would it take to earn your trust again in the political system?
Yeah, if I actually saw some concrete things happening, some changes to our justice system, some changes to our education system, some changes to the legal system, some changes to the banking system. It's just across the board. We need to see some changes, then maybe we'll start to trust.
So do you think that if the Conservatives got in, it would make much a difference for the freedom fight? Or
Only if they're watched. Only if they're watched. They have to be babysat. They all have to be babysat because they all approved for this COVID. They all approved for the lockdowns. They all approved it all. As far as I see, they are all guilty. And that's it. And if they do fight for us, then great. And number one, thanks to you guys, they gotta start making the media and reveal everything because people are not getting the truth.
We recently had an election here in Surrey, right here on this ground here where we're standing. Emmerich, great guy, but personally I have people in my group who didn't vote for him because, politics is so bad. Well, I guess it is, but Emmerich was wondering, I know he had something out there about why didn't more people vote for him? If all the unvaccinated people would have voted for him, the numbers would have been really high. But hey, I know a lot of unvaccinated people who don't want to vote because they're just mad.
when it comes to life with COVID-19, no other media in Canada has reported the other side of the story for you like Rebel News. And thank you so much. We report for the people, but we also rely on the people. So if you'd like to support us in a fun way, check out our store. We've got really cool merchandise. I love purple. It's got purple in this. Our #1 selling t-shirt is the Trudeau Castro shirt. And when you buy anything there at rebelnewsstore.com, you actually support the news stories that we bring to you. So thank you so much for that.